New customer working on a Goodman unit here. No AC is the call. Got my partner inside hitting the thermostat and we'll see what's happening. Just a fan, no compressor, huh? Yeah, let's open it up, check the cap. There's a filter behind this grill, but then they got another one right up top there.
Damn, boy, he's thick!
All that good stuff came off of this blower. Unit's on and running. We're hanging out right around 2 degrees of subcooling, 78 inside, so I would expect that indoor coil to be a little bit warmer. We saw that blower motor rattling the crap out of the air handler inside. We'll talk to them about it. Chances of them doing anything though, I think are pretty slim. Got that very dirty filter out of that grill, told them they needed a new one, got them the size of it. Cleaned up some of the big stuff off of that blower wheel. I didn't want to charge them for pulling and cleaning that wheel, so I just kind of got some of the big stuff off of the vanes that I thought could have been causing it to run off balance or, you know, causing low airflow. And I was hoping that it would, you know, temper that rattle some, but it did not. I got him a quote on a new blower wheel. Pretty much like I told you earlier though, everything's on and running, so they're going to leave it as is. And so, you know, what are you going to do? It ain't my pocketbook. We're cleaning up, we're closing up, and we're going to move on to the next one. Got us a blown 3 amp fuse. We got to try and see what's going on with that. Because this is a straight AC, there's only 2 things that could have been blowing this fuse. Thermostat wire could be shorted, or this contactor. So we're going to check the resistance of our coil, and we got 2 ohms, 1.9 ohms. So the resistance of this coil is too low, which means the amp draw to pull in this contactor is so high that it blows that 3 amp fuse. I wish this wasn't covered up so we could actually see what that coil looks like. I might be able to pop some of this plastic off and take a look at it. We'll do it once we get everything put back together. Now that we got this wired back up, before we hook up our 24 volt wires, let's see the resistance of this new contactor. We got 20.2 it started off with, 19.8 is where we ended. Alright, so we should be good to go. We're going to hook up our 24 volt wires and go replace that fuse inside, turn the power back on, and she should be on and running. There's the cause of your issue right there. Got a new customer, notes just say system not cooling, so we'll have to get over there and see what's going on. For those of you who don't know, I have had a trainee riding with me the past couple of weeks, and today I have been calling him Training Wheels. I highly suggest you give all of your trainees a nickname. Some of my personal favorites are Gopher, go for this, go for that, Baby Bird because you got to feed them, you got to nurture them. You know, you got to look after them. Fisher Price, everything you got to break it down Fisher Price style, ABC 1, 2, 3, or Training Wheels. Pretty self-explanatory. We got an AC running, starting to freeze, but no blower motor. It's been replaced before. We've got the white, which is the common of that motor, has been tied to this purple, which goes up there to the contactor. And then we took our black wire that's our high speed on our blower. That was on that relay back there. You can see that open spade. When we check between the spade and that purple wire, maroon, whatever color you want to call it, we've got 250 volts. I was trying to find the data tag on this motor, and found that little coupler back there underneath the coil. Somebody threw that in there, make sure we got a good slope on the drain, I guess. I didn't pay this any mind when we were crawling in here.
What was that?
The old unit is just laying underneath here off to the side. They just said, forget that sucker. Ain't carrying it back out. My partner asked a good question. Because this motor is so close, the bottom of that old motor was sitting on the bottom of the cabinet. He was concerned about these screws here. And what you can do is just take you some pliers and bend those back and forth. They'll snap right off. These are mounting screws, just like a condenser fan motor. And so unless you have that style motor, they are not needed, and you can snap them off pretty flush, just like that. There she goes, on and running. I had to swap those rotational leads. You got a 50-50 shot of getting it right, and I get it wrong every doggone time.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well.
77 degrees inside, so I would expect that coil to be a little bit higher. We've already talked to the customer about the age, the refrigerant type, all of that stuff. It's on and running. They're not interested in doing anything else with it, so we are closing up and on to the next one. While my partner is getting the unit opened up here, I'm going to tell you what we got going on. We're actually going to get to do a little torching on this unit. We found last time that we were here, the contactor was not closing and the blower motor was not running. Contactor wasn't closing due to a bad pressure switch, which was caused by the blower not running. It was in the heating mode at the time. So we got the blower swapped out. I had to wait a few days for the pressure switch to come in, and we are getting ready to swap that out now. If you don't have one yet, get you one of these cheater cords, man. Whole lot better than having to fight with a extension cord. And we're gonna get all this mess cleaned up while we're waiting to pull all this refrigerant out. We're getting ready to sweat this guy out, but just a quick little note, when you're doing these pressure switches, that stem right there is very thin copper, very easy to burn a hole through. We're going to be concentrating our heat on this larger pipe here and not the stem. We don't want to burn a hole in it. Turn it down just a little bit. We don't need it very hot. There she goes. Good deal. Now let's get our new one. We'll wrap it in a wet rag and sweat it in. Get the bottom there. Can't pull the straighters in these systems, so we're having to pull through the gauges there, but it's pulling down pretty quickly. Fresh oil in the vacuum pump, a couple more minutes and we should be good. While we wait though, I am going to show you how to check that pressure switch. As far as checking that pressure switch, our wires go through that cavity there, into the compressor compartment, through the blower compartment, over here where it's tied in series with our low pressure switch and the T1 of our defrost board down here. So if you wanted to check it, you remove your two spades, check for continuity across these two wires. If you don't have it in continuity, switch is bad.